Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrutyam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naisrike. Today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 8, Chapter 15. Bali Maharaj conquers the heavenly planets. Text 1 and 2. Maharaj Parikshit inquires, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the proprietor of everything. Why did he beg 3 pieces of land from Bali Maharaj like a poor man? And when he got the gift from which he had begged, why did he nonetheless arrested the Bali Maharaj? I am very much anxious to know the mystery of these contradictions. Text 3. Sukadev Goswami said, O king, when Bali Maharaj lost all the opulence and died in the fight, Sukracharya, a descendant of Bhrigu Muni, brought him back to life. Because of this, the great soul Bali Maharaj became a disciple of Sukracharya and began to serve him with great faith, offering everything he had. Text 4. The Brahmana descendants of the Bhrigu Muni were very pleased with Bali Maharaj, who desired to conquer the kingdom of Indra. Therefore, after purifying him and properly bathing him according to the regulative principles, they they engaged him in performing the yajna known as Vishwajit. Text 5. When ghee, clarified butter, was offered in the fire of sacrifice, there appeared from the fire of the celestial chariot covered with gold and silk. There also appeared yellow horses like those of Indra, and the flag marked with a lion. Text 6. The gilded bow, 2 pointers of the infallible arrows, and the celestial arrows also appeared. Bali Maharaj's grandfather Prahlad Maharaj offered Bali a garland of flowers that would never fade, and Sukracharya gave him a conch. Text 7. When Maharaj Bali had thus performed the special ritualistic ceremony advised by the Brahmanas and had received by their grace the equipment for fighting, he circumambulated the Brahmanas and offered them obeisances. He also saluted Prahlad Maharaj and offered obeisances to him. Text 8 and 9. Then, after getting on the chariot given by the Sukracharya, Bali Maharaj decorated with a nice garland, put protective armor on his body, equipped himself with a bow, and took up a sword and the quiver of arrows. When he sat down on the seat of the chariot, his arms decorated with the golden bangles and his ears with the sapphire earrings, he shone like a worshipable fire. Text 10 and 11. When he assembled with his own soldiers and the demon chief who were equal to him in the strength, opulence, and the beauty, they appeared as if they would swallow the sky and burn all the directions with their vision. After thus gathering the demonic soldiers, Bali Maharaj departed for the opulent capital of Indra. Indeed, he seemed to make the entire surface of the world tremble. Text 12. King Indra, the city was full of pleasing orchards and the gardens, such as a Nandana garden. Because of the weight of the flowers, leaves, and the fruits, the branches of the eternal existing trees were bending down. The gardens were visited by the pairs of the creeping birds and singing bees. The entire atmosphere for the celestial. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Chaitanya Prabhuji, please take over the call, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Radharani Mataji. Thank you so much for reading the translations today. Thank you, dear devotees, for joining this discussion this morning for Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 8, Chapter 15, Text 1 to 12. I'll start by offering my prayers. Om Kyantimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha नम ओं विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामी इति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवास आदि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे मुखं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयति गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुदेव तारणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्येश्वरम् Hare Krishna, dear devotees. So, we are in starting beginning of chapter 15 today. And just to give a brief recap of what's been discussed so far. So, in this Canto 8, we began with reading the pastimes of Gajendra Maharaj initially. And then from then onwards, we started reading about the churning of the milk ocean pastime. So, where the demigods and the demons, in every step being assisted by Lord Vishnu and his incarnations, churned the milk ocean in order to obtain the nectar. And once the nectar was obtained, we saw how, because of the appearance of Mohini Murti, the demigods were able to attain the nectar and they were able to, by the power of the nectar, they were able to defeat the demon army. Now, at that is the end of the 11th chapter. Now, after the end of the 11th chapter, in the next three chapters, 12, 13, and 14, Srila Shukdev Goswami, in 12th chapter, we see how Lord Shiva requests for to see the Mohini Murti incarnation again. And in 13 and 14th chapter, we see the description of the different Manus and about the last chapter, the discussion yesterday, we see about the administration system of the whole universe, which is being under the guidance of the Manus. So, with this, during this description of the Manus and the administration system, Sukadev Goswami, in his discussion to Parikshit Maharaj, makes a brief mention of how, at the time of Vaivashvata Manu, um, Bali Maharaj was conquered by Vaman Dev. So when he mentions that particular statement, Parikshit Maharaj now he wants to hear more about that pastime because he's always inquisiting about hearing the Naam, Gun, Roop, Leela of the Lord. So he's requesting Sri Sukdev Goswami to, to to narrate something more about this pastime of Bali Maharaj and Vaman Dev. So then that's where the introduction starts to this chapter. So what we are basically seeing is where the battle finished in the 11th chapter. The demigods were victorious over the demons, and as a result of it, during that process, Bali Maharaj was killed. We'll see what happens after that in this particular chapter. So in text 1 to 2, Parishit Maharaj makes two significant inquiries from Sukadev Goswami. So he says that in this whole incident, we all must be familiar with it, but we're going to see it in much more detail now in this particular next few chapters, that the Lord, in order to protect the demigods, he again took a wonderful incarnation as a dwarf Brahmana called Vaman. And in this particular incarnation, we're familiar with the past time, how he begs three pieces of land from Bali Maharaj and how he conquers Bali Maharaj in that process. So Parikshit Maharaj is inquiring here, makes two very significant inquiries. One is why the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the proprietor, who's the proprietor of everything. Why did he beg three paces of land from Bali Maharaj like a poor man? The Lord, Bali Maharaj, Parikshit Maharaj, and knows that the Lord, He's the Supreme Lord, he quotes basically the Ishavasyan Idam Sarvam principle, that everything that we see in this world, that is animate or inanimate, is the proprietor. The Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is the proprietor of that. So one who owns everything in this world, what is the what would be the reason for him to go and beg something from somebody else? So here Parikshit Maharaj clearly shows his higher understanding, being from a one exalted devotee background, and being brought up in in such a spiritual atmosphere, that his principle, his philosophy is very clear. His understanding is very clear, that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is truly the controller and master of everything. And that is why naturally this question arises, that how can then he beg for anything if everything belongs to him? The second thing Parikshit Maharaj inquires is, when he did get the gift, when Bali Maharaj did agree that, okay, I will award you 3 paces of land, because initially he kept requesting Vaman Dev, no, why are you just asking for 3 paces of land? Ask for something more, ask for something more. But Vaman Dev insisted, no, I just want 3 paces of land. So once he agreed to that, then why did the Lord arrest Bali Maharaj? And he was very anxious to know the mystery of these contradictions. So we see how in our literature, and how our Lord has so many apparent contradictions. But when we hear and when we follow the footsteps of our exalted Vaishnava Acharyas, all these contradictions become very clear by their understanding. So in this part, I'd like to add one thing, that it's a fair point, and most these questions are going to be discussed in much more elaborate detail in the next few chapters. But the first question that Parikshit Maharaj inquires is about Lord becoming a beggar in front of Bali Maharaj, is very significant. So oftentimes we see that we offer different services to the Lord. We offer bhoga to the Lord. We offer, we sing kirtan to glorify the Lord, and we do katha to glorify the Lord. And it is not that the Lord is in need of these things, or the Lord needs to beg for anything. In a recent lecture by His Holiness Radhat Maharaj, I had heard this point, that when the Lord begged something from Bali Maharaj, the Lord was not begging for his own sake. The Lord was actually begging for Bali Maharaj's sake, just to deliver him. So whenever the Lord appears in the form of a deity, so that we can see him, we can serve him by our own senses. He does so for our own purification, not that he is in want of anything. And one common example I heard in another book about chanting, that when sometimes we do kirtan in the temple and we play nice mridanga, we play nice harmonium, we sing such melodious tunes, sometimes we may think, oh, it's such a nice kirtan, such a nice kirtan. But the reality is that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he is used to hearing kirtan from the Gandharvas. There is no comparison of the quality of kirtan and musical instruments, the musical notes, the music knowledge that the Gandharvas have, and they offer to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, compared to what we can do in the Bhuloka. So sometimes our children, they we get a musical instrument from them, or in a birthday they get a gift as a musical instrument. They may get like a drum and a flute, and they keep playing that tuck, 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 and they keep playing the flute, and they keep asking you, how am I playing, how am I playing? And externally, you say, yeah, very good, very good, but internally sometimes it's hurting you because there's no rhythm, there's no flow to that particular music. But the child might think that, oh, I'm doing so nice to please my parents, and I'm going to play it. And eventually, even though we are parents, sometimes after a few minutes you have to say, okay, now you have to stop. Now you have to do something else, because even that much. But still, Krishna is so merciful that when we offer something, when we offer our kirtan, when we offer our music, our musical instruments, even though it may be insignificant compared to what the Gandharvas offer to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but still, he so lovingly accepts it for our own purification, not that he is in want of anything. Similarly, in the same understanding, in the same vein, we can understand that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is, he's everywhere. He is immeasurable, but he takes the form of a small dwarf Brahmana just so that he can come and take part in this Leela and beg something from Bali Maharaj, but not for his own sake. That was the point I was trying to make. So these two questions we'll see in more depth answer coming in the next few chapters. So in text 3, now Sukdev Goswami is going to describe the connection at the end of chapter 11 to where the story starts now again. So this particular section that we're reading today is just more in a story format with more facts and details. So hence, unfortunately, Srila Prabhupada did not leave us with any purports. So I'll do my best to explain and repeat what I've heard from other serial devotees. So in text 3, Sukdev Goswami continues that so when Bali Maharaj lost his opulence and died in the fight, which fight? The fight that happened after the demigods obtained the nectar from the churning of milk ocean. And on the strength of that nectar, they were able to defeat the demons. So in that fight, Bali Maharaj lost his life. And Shukracharya, who was a descendant of Bhrigu Muni, he brought him back to life. And because of this, Bali Maharaj became indebted to Shukracharya and accepted him as his guru and began to serve him as a disciple with great faith, offering everything he had. Now, it is very rarely explained in our, these incidents are very rarely discussed in our scriptures about somebody coming back to life. Normally, we always say that death is permanent. There is a statement in English language that when you want to say something with certainty, you say as sure as death, because everybody knows that whatever has taken birth in this material world, there has to be a death associated with it. Even people who are materially inclined, understand this particular philosophy that nobody can escape the cruel jaws of death. But still, there are a couple incidents that are mentioned in our Shastras. Um, one we just discussed here, how Shukracharya, using his Brahmanical prowess, was able to bring Bali Maharaj back to life. The next we also see when Sri Narad Muni, at the request of Chitraketu Maharaj in Canto 6, brings his son back to life temporarily so that they can have a wonderful learning session, a discussion between the soul that came back into the body and Sri Chitraketu Maharaj and his queens can advance in their spiritual understanding. We also see how the Supreme Personality of Godhead, for whom nothing is impossible, at the request of his guru Sandipan Muni, he goes and brings back his departed son. So in this way, there are rare instances where it is said that people have been brought back to life. But for the majority, in our scriptures and our clear philosophical understanding, we understand that death is permanent. But still, even though people understand this and material people are well aware about it, a lot of people have difficulty accepting it. And I have personal experience with that in my profession. When we see that sometimes people are in terminal state and everybody understands that they only have a few days to live, still a lot of people have trouble accepting the fact that their loved one is not going to be with them. So with this regard, I just want to share a little story. So once there was a particular man in a village who lost, his very dear family member, and he became so bewildered by this thing that he just could not bring peace to his mind. So he kept going around everywhere, searching for a way to bring that loved relative back to life. And he kept going everywhere, asking everybody, and everybody was, they felt they was trying to empathize with him. They felt sorrow for him, but they just were not able to explain to him that this is it. That is permanent part of life, and you have to accept it. So they couldn't really help him in any way. But then they heard that in a village nearby, Gautam Buddha was visiting. So in that particular instance, one of the villagers recommended to him that, there is a great saint by the name of Sri Gautam Buddha, and he's visiting, and he may be able to bring your loved one back to life. So why don't you go inquire from him? Hoping that Gautam Buddha figure out one way, some way that he could bring peace to this gentleman. So that gentleman travels to the other village, and he, he inquires where Sri Gautam Buddha, and then he finds where he is, and he goes, pays his obeisances, and then he inquires of Sri Gautam Buddha that, I've heard that you're a very powerful saint and you can do anything. You can perform many miracles. I Please bring my loved one back to life. Gautam Buddha tried to explain to him that what is the principle of life, the four miseries that are there: birth, death, old age, and disease. So death, being a part of this material world, is something that everybody has to go through, but he still would not be able to understand and accept it. So then Gautam Buddha said, "Okay, I will bring your loved one back to life. If you're so insistent, I will do this for you. But there is a certain way you have to do that. In order to do this, I need you to bring that family in your village or any village around you where nobody has ever experienced death." So this person becomes enthusiastic. So he becomes optimistic. Oh, there is actually a way to bring my loved one back to life. So with great eagerness and enthusiasm, he goes back to his village and starts knocking on each and every home, figure out where he can find that family member or that family who's not never had death in their life, or never lost a loved one in their family. So he goes knocking, and everybody says no, 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 no. And then he goes to nearby villages and everybody says, no, 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 no. And in that process, he realizes that actually everybody is going through this. Nobody is free from this. He gets practical realization. And then he goes back to Gautam Buddha and he again pays his obeisances, and he expresses his gratitude towards Gautam Buddha, saying that, thank you. Now I've understood that death is actually permanent and actually a reality that everybody has to go through. So in this particular way, he obtains this realization. In this particular story, we see how Shukracharya was, in those rare instances, able to bring Sri Bali Maharaj back to life. So now, what did Bali Maharaj do? That once he was brought back to life, he was very grateful, not only to his guru, but also to other descendants of Brigumani. And in this particular way, he pleased them by serving them. And thus, being pleased by him, they purified him and properly bathed him, and they engaged him in this yajna known as Vishwati. So we see that this philosophy that we have, that Srila Prabhupada has given to us about practicing Krishna consciousness in the association of devotees, it is a very living philosophy. It's a very practical philosophy. There's a very measurable aspect of what we do and what services we provide. When we offer this service, we can know that if we can advance, we can advance very quickly if we are able to please the Vaishnavas. This is something that we can see live, practically happening in front of us. If we do a particular act, or if we behave in a certain way that displeases the Vaishnavas, that displeases our Guru, we know we are not advancing in spiritual life. But at the same time, if we take the trouble to do a particular service, no matter how difficult that service may be, but just we step out of our comfort zone only to please the Guru and to please the Vaishnavas, we can quickly achieve advancement in spiritual life. In that way, we have the Prabhupada has given us a very practical philosophy. So in next text 5 and 6, we see that on the instruction of the Bhrigu Muni descendants, Sri Bali Maharaj offers sacrifices, and he obtains many different benedictions or articles from that particular sacrifice. And with that, he's empowered to then go on to conquer the heavenly planets. So after he received these particular benedictions, these particular articles of battle from the sacrifice, Bali Maharaj, he circumambulated the Brahmanas and offered them obeisances. And he also offered obeisances to now this mention of his grandfather, Sri Prahlad Maharaj, both being exalted devotees despite being born in a demoniac family. So we see a very wonderful aspect again showing how Bali Maharaj, even though he was born in a demoniac family, we see how he's already exhibiting qualities of a devotee. And one of the qualities that we see in this particular text here is a quality of gratitude. So gratitude is a very great attitude in bhakti. We should always be grateful for anything that somebody does for us. And to use this word thank you is not so common in nowadays people, because sometimes people take things for granted. Sometimes people don't give time. But even people who are close to us, our family members, sometimes even our kids, we if they've done something for us, we should express our gratitude for them. The problem in today's world is people take so many things for granted, and that is why they're not able to understand, everything that the Supreme Lord is providing to us. We elect a government, and the government provides us, some basic things like electricity and security and things. But we don't realize that what is more essential for us, is the sunlight, because of which the vegetations grow, the rains, because of which, we're able to get nourishment, the oxygen that allows us to breathe and live each and every moment. And all this is being given to us by whom? And this is coming from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So in each and every moment, we should be able to close our eyes and pray and express our gratitude for all these things that the Lord gives to us tax free, compared to what the government gives us. But in this particular way, we should always be grateful. One who's not grateful is actually a great fool, and that point should be very clear. So in text 8 and 9, it is seen that Bali Maharaj now he gets ready for the battle to conquer the heavenly planets, and as a part of his Kshatriya role, his nature as a Kshatriya, he goes on to uh, take part in this particular battle. In text 10 and 11 is described that when Bali Maharaj assembled his soldiers and demon chiefs, they all looked equal to him in strength, opulence, and beauty. It's a it's a contrasting thing that normally we see then when demons or a demon army is depicted on in comic books or in story in the TVs, um, like in the movies and all. They're all externally described to be very ghastly. They have like fierce teeth and red eyes, and their hair is not combed and it's disheveled. But here it is said that the demon chief and his army looked equal in strength, opulence, and beauty. Actually, we realized that just they were demons not because they looked like something or somebody that is unpalatable, but they were demons because of their process or their decision to not follow the rules of the Supreme Personality of God. It's what made them a demon. Not their external appearance, not their voice, not how their face looks, but how their unconsciousness was is what made them a demon. Um, Beauty really is not external. We realize that in this world, we are so much attracted by the marketing segment of external beauty, things that which look beautiful on the outside, even though on the inside, those things, those products may not be very much as they have been advertised. But real beauty is what is really on the inside. Once my Shri Gurudev was asked that or he had mentioned it in the Journey Home book that the most beautiful woman that he has seen in his lifetime is a woman, and when he was traveling in the mountains, and he came across a leper colony, and there's this leper lady, her nose was broken, everything, she had wounds all over him. And you would think first when he's describing the stories, how can this person be the most beautiful person you've seen? You have had to see somebody else in this world who's more beautiful. But he said that lady, even though she was in so much misery and pain, she had such a beautiful smile, and with that beautiful smile, she was just offering so much grace and so much love and maternal affection towards Gurudev that when he saw her, to him it looked like the most beautiful person in this world. So beauty is really what comes on the inside, what comes from our consciousness, rather than what comes from externally. In text 12, then this goes on to describe, which is the last text for the day, the beauty of the heavenly planets, which we've seen that in the heavenly, we see that as we were discussing this a few days ago in one of the discussions, that the plants and trees, when they're also in the mode of goodness, they are fully equipped with multiple flowers and fruits, and the branches were even like falling down because of the weight of the fruits. So that particular thing we can see in the heavenly planets. And even though the beauty of the heavenly planets is very attractive, but it is also temporary. And we'll be seeing that in the next chapter, that the demigods had to vacate the heavenly planets as Bali Maharaj prepared to attack them. So with this, we'll end our discussion for today. Thank you, dear devotees, for joining. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnavinda ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, thank you.
Thank you so
Hare
much, Prabhuji, for a
Krishna.
very beautiful class. Hare Krishna. Thank you, all devotees, for joining the class today.
Hare Krishna, Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.